Hello, this is Miles McGeehan. I want to take a moment to share with you a neat tool within Coursesites. This is called Studymate Class, and it's a great review game for students. It can also be graded by the instructor. When an instructor creates or facilitates a Studymate class session, it appears like a red icon here, and the students would simply select this item. This is one I used in a weather unit in an 8th grade science class. The first thing students see is the project information pop-up. The students would read through these brief directions and take a look at a couple examples that I provided as the instructor, and then they'd also scroll down and take a look at a holistic 3-2-1 rubric. And the rubric is intended to grade students when they create questions. Let me pause for a moment and describe this a little in a bigger picture. In this activity, students create 3 different types of questions: a term definition, a fact, and a multiple choice question. And Studymate class takes all of the students' questions and puts them into a bunch of fun, engaging review games, such as crossword puzzles, jigsaw, hangman style, fill in the blank, and so forth. So when students created the questions, I had the opportunity to grade the content of the questions that they created with this rubric. When the student reviews and is finished looking over this information, they can just click in the corner over here, and then they will progress on. Now, a student would only view 2 tabs here, and as the instructor, I see more tabs. So the first tab is where a student can create questions. There are 3 different types of questions they can create. And then there are, as the instructor, I can see the student questions that are populating down below. And there are actually various pages of questions. I think there are 60 questions in total from this particular 8th grade classroom. Well, after students create a couple questions, I would send them home for the day, and they would have no further homework. That evening or the next morning, as the instructor, I would look through the student-created questions and vet them for accuracy. If there were any inaccuracies or misconceptions related in their questions, then I had the opportunity to edit the content. And then the next day, when students return to class, they can click this View tab and then use the Choose Activity and choose from a variety of different game-like structures. So they could choose a crossword. And what Studymate is doing is it's taking all of the questions that are appropriate, all the content that the students created, and formulating a crossword puzzle. Students can read through the descriptor here and try entering a few different letters. Notice here in the center, if they get the letter correct or incorrect, it'll give them a little statement as appropriate. If a student's really struggling, they can also use the reveal letter function to show what this particular letter was. Great. So the student has the opportunity to click on the different terms within the crossword puzzle and notice that the descriptors change as according. There's also an area in the bottom where it shows their correct and missed items. And this attempt can actually be stored and reviewed by the teacher. The teacher can see the student's efficacy and efficiency within this type of review. Now, a student can also choose to try other review styles. So if they did a flashcards, here we have a definition, and then if they choose the flip card feature, it changes over and shows them the word. Another fun one is the fill in the blank. This looks kind of like a pretty simple fill in the blank, but there's also, a pick a letter is a fun one too. This is quite like hangman. Great, so I wanted to give you a brief overview of how this appears for students. My experience using this with middle school classrooms was very, very positive. The next day when the students reviewed in class, a lot of students mentioned that they were going to go home that evening and use the tool again. And in fact, one student came back the next day, a student that typically spends all of his time in the skate park after school, said that he went to the skate park, but he just felt like he should review more for this big test coming up, and so he actually left the skate park, went home, and spent an hour and a half playing the Studymate class review game. That's the first time he'd really ever reviewed for any kind of test in his career as a student from kindergarten on up to 8th grade. So that was pretty impressive, and then of course the student did really well on the test the next day. So the students are motivated and engaged with this tool. They appreciate the ability to choose different types of questions. There's an angle of differentiation here where the student is able to make choices and engage with the content in the way that it interests them. Well, thanks for watching this example of Studymate class in action. Continue on to the next slide to see a professional representation of all the different angles and abilities this software provides instructors and how it works within the LMS and the gradebook and so forth. And then beyond that, there's a short little instructional video of how to create one of these for your class within the Coursesites LMS.